Hi, and welcome to the Loan Officer Team Training Podcast. I'm your host, Irene Duford, and I'm here with my really good friend, Richard Smith, today. And Richard is in Katy, Texas, and we met many years ago. Richard, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, thank you so much. I'm honored to be on.
It's fun. It's fun just having conversations with friends. That's what's
Oh,
really
yeah.
fun about doing this podcast. And hopefully we give the listeners some good things to take away. Tell us, Richard, how you got started in mortgages.
How I got started in mortgages. Wow, it's been a long time. I had a friend that introduced me to the industry. And so I was like trying to do it part-time while I was still working in corporate America. That was a lot of fun working 80 hours a week. But no, I ended up leaving my position, my job, and coming on to the wonderful world of mortgages. So it's been about 25 years now.
Wow. Yep.
Yeah,
Are you
long
glad
time.
you did, were you glad you did it right away, or did that come later when you started making the money?
No, I was glad I did it right away because just to have the freedom to work when you want, even though I was always a workaholic, but knowing that I can leave if I want to was a big thing for me back then.
I know for us workaholics, recovering workaholics, right? We
Yes.
have to remember that there is a cutoff time, right? Even though
Oh,
there's
yeah.
nobody giving it to us.
But if you really love and enjoy what you're doing, you don't even look at the clock. So that's what I love about our industry. Just love what I'm doing.
Yes. Yep. So when you were in mortgages, tell us about your team? Because I know you built a team.
Yep. So I actually had myself and a processor back in the day. And so what I did is I hired two people right off. The first hire was a virtual assistant,
Mhm.
and that was 11 years ago. And
Yeah.
after that, I hired a loan partner to help with my business. And after that, my business just shot up because I had a virtual assistant that helped me on the front end, marketing, even back then, scheduling appointments with realtors and all the fun stuff you can have a VA do. And then on the back end, I had the loan partner who helped me put the files together. So I literally got to spend 100% almost of my time marketing and prospecting and doing money making activities. My business changed pretty quickly. And of course, back then I was also joined the Freedom Club too. So it was a big difference.
Yeah. That was fun when you joined the Freedom Club. I was your coach, your first coach.
Yes, my very
And
first coach.
that was so fun to watch you soar and build your team and then be able to soar. It was so fun to be able to watch all of the changes you made. And, they're all simple changes. It's not that
Right.
hard to do, right? It's just a matter of doing it.
Yep. And it's fun, and I kind of remember one of the first things that we did was that triad of awesomeness where we look at, writing down everything that we love doing, everything that we're good at, and everything that brings money in, and trying to focus only on those items. And then all the other stuff, have somebody else do that loves doing those things. So it's kind of a win-win. So yeah, that was an awesome exercise back in the day. So I still do that exercise every once in a while.
I do too. It's really impactful. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's things that you love to do, what you love to do, what you're great at, and what makes money for you, right?
Right. And
And
all
and
the
if
other stuff that doesn't fall in those three, those are the things that you want to get somebody else to do. Yeah.
Yes. You implemented very early on, much faster than anyone else at the time, about hiring a virtual assistant. That was a big deal. And you were pretty successful with it. So tell us about how that worked for you back in the day.
Yep. So I didn't know what I was doing, but I knew I had to hire somebody. So I hired the wrong virtual assistant two times. And both times I had to, I have a big heart, so I want to see them succeed. But I remember the first one kept falling asleep, falling asleep. She just didn't have the experience of working the night shift because
Uh-huh.
we hire out of the Philippines, and if they have experience and they do really well working overnights, then it works really well because they're fine. But if you get the wrong one, we just had problems. The second one, I had issues with getting things done and not doing the things. The one thing I did do that I did correctly is I gave them a chance, but then I moved on. I had to let them go and then hire the next one. And then the third one I hired was the unicorn. So, and that's Gerard, and he still works with me today. So it's been 11 years that he's been on the team.
He is amazing.
Yeah.
You have
Yeah.
such a great relationship, right?
Yeah, we have a really, really good relationship. He's actually coming into the US in June.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. That's so great.
Yeah, it's going to be really cool.
Yeah. So he's coming to visit you and see the
Yep.
US.
Yep.
That
It'll
is
be
so
a lot of fun.
awesome.
Yeah. So he's been
Yeah.
with me 11 years. He was very instrumental in the business and the growth and everything that, when we scaled dramatically with his help on the front end. And then, like I said, having a loan partner on the back end.
Yeah. Those two, they're in tandem, right? You need to have them both, someone to help you with the front end
I
and
think
someone to
so.
help you
Yeah,
on
I
the back
think
end.
so. If you want to scale really quick and grow fast, I think that's the best thing. The cool thing is too is hiring a VA is, I hate to use the word cheap, but the cost of living is so different in the Philippines that if we're paying them $5 an hour here, to them it equals about $25 an hour in the Philippines because the cost of living is so different. So it's for somebody who's just starting to grow their team, that's the most inexpensive way to get things going. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And I remember watching you and seeing how you went through the couple of VAs. It was quick. You didn't keep them very
Yeah.
long because you knew they weren't going to work out. That was the thing you did right for sure. But when you got Gerard and I started seeing how he was making a difference for you and the way you were utilizing him, and not that it's all easy, right? Because it was all new to you. You'd
Right.
never done it before. So what were some of the things that if you could go back, you might do a little bit differently with it when you get your first virtual assistant from the Philippines?
I think so. I did make a mistake that I always let people know today not to make is I didn't include him with like the team meetings and things. He was just kind of like out on an island by himself.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't that I tried to do that. I just wasn't aware that that was needed. I mean, and it sounds like it should, you would think so, but yeah, I always let people know now, make sure that you include them in their meeting. They're a part of the team. If you have a pipeline meeting, let them hop on. They're part of the team. They need to be aware and have that team mentality. So that, I guess that's probably a mistake that I made way back then.
It was really fun watching how Gerard helped you, how you worked with him, and how it was to see that it was possible, because you were one of the first ones in the Freedom Club to do it. Even though it was part of the process to do it, not everybody felt comfortable with an out of the country virtual assistant. And I'll tell you, for me, it was one of the hardest things to trust. Trust someone that I didn't know, had never met, was virtual in another country and all of that. But I'll tell you what, since I finally got on board with it, I don't know, 5 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, and I hired someone through your company that we're going to talk about in a minute. Gerard helped me find someone that was amazing. And then she couldn't do it for very long because of family obligations. So I got a second person, and she's been with me now 2.5 years. I absolutely love her. I couldn't do it without her. In our training business, I couldn't do it without her. I can't even imagine what it would be like. And yet I was so hesitant for so long. I held out, and that was my biggest mistake. I could have been a lot more free a lot earlier.
Yeah. And you make a really good point that yours helps you in your training business. Mine over the years have helped in the mortgage business and now in other businesses. And they can help you with all sorts of things, personal things. There's so much they can do and help. One of the biggest things that have helped me is having a VA help me run my calendar. So I know where I need to be and when, or what calls I'm on. And then the VA calls and sends out reminders, just to help me run the calendar and things like that, things that take time away from you focusing on your most important things. That's what you have that VA help. So yeah, it's crazy. It seems like forever ago when I first started hiring VAs, but I mean, 11 years, it has been a long time. But
Been
yeah,
a long time.
don't you feel like now you don't know what it would be like you couldn't handle it without somebody
No,
helping you,
I
right?
would not be able to. And I think about the things that I could have had handled a lot sooner had I done that. But
Right.
yeah, but either way, even with coaching, with anything, she can help me with whatever I need. And
Yes.
she's happy to do it because she has the right attitude, the right values. That's the key, right? Is getting the person that has
The
the
right
right
person.
values. And I was really intentional when I hired her. I gave Gerard, who works with you in Remote Assistant Scout is the name of the
Yep.
company that Richard has, and where they hire virtual assistants for you. And I'll tell you what, it's worth every penny for them to vet. Tell us about what they do for you, Richard.
So they basically, if you're a loan officer or really anybody, any business entrepreneur, we hire for realtors, insurance. I mean, it doesn't matter what industry, but you want help finding a VA. What the team does is Gerard and his team vet out and find the right fit VAs. So they literally go through resumes. They look for red flags because they're in the Philippines, so they can see red flags when we may not be able to see it. Go through voice recordings. If we have callers, we want them to sound like they work in our office. And so they don't have accents. They sound really clear, articulate. We go through their DISC assessments, look to see where their strengths are and in what areas of work that we're looking for. So just the whole vetting, and then the team will give you, let's say, 4 to 5 top candidates that we think are the best fit for what you're looking for. And then we interview those candidates along with you, the loan officer, or whoever. So those interviews are done together. And then let's say you decide which one you want to choose, figure out a job offer, how many hours you're wanting somebody, and you can offer five. Like right now, it's about $5 to $6 an hour based on how much experience they have. So
Mm-hmm.
you give the job offer, and then once they're let go to you. So they work directly for you. There's no middleman. If you pay, if it's $5 an hour, you pay them $5 an hour,
Mm-hmm.
direct. So and it's guaranteed. If it's the wrong fit, like we talked about earlier, then we replace them. But it's, Gerard and Omar and the team have very high rate of perfect fits, we'll say.
Yes, yes. It's amazing. I have my person that I hired who's been my personal assistant now for 2.5 years, three, somewhere around then.
Right.
But I just hired a marketing assistant as well, and she's amazing as well. And I could tell right on the interview. So I interviewed 3 different people that they gave me that were great fits. All of them would have done a great job, but I picked her because of her personality, because I knew we would mesh really
Yeah.
well. And all of that makes a difference to me. Now, to some people, that may not make a big difference, but for me, I need to know they're a team player, that they're going to be there to support me in every way that I need it. Because otherwise,
Agree.
why have somebody, right?
Yeah, I agree 100%. That's where Gerard has a really special talent. He knows how to match people.
Yes.
So, because you have to, I always look at it as, you could have the best processor in the world, but if you two don't mesh, it just doesn't work. You've got to have, the same mindset and attitude. So, yeah, I agree
Yes.
with you 100% on that.
Yeah. I think it's really important. And I gave Gerard I made a very detailed list about the type of personality I was looking for, the values that they needed to have, the type of way that they work. Like I
Yep.
was really, really specific. And then I also said, here's the skills that I need them to have. And
Nice.
one of the things that they needed to have, which a lot of people may not mention when they're doing this, but I think the more specific you are, that the easier it is to find your match. But I needed somebody that worked independently, that was not going to need to be constantly coming to me for stuff, because I don't have time
Right.
for that. And that was what we found. And it takes a little while to get your rhythm, right? When they come on board. Working with me is not always easy because I don't always get back to them right away. And, they're waiting, they have to be patient. And there's a lot of things like that go with it. And so I was able to find the right fit because of giving the examples of what I needed. And
right, exactly.
Gerard paid attention to that. And Omar, I'm sure too, as well. So I'm just really grateful that I finally got on board 4 or 5 years ago with this, because
that's awesome.
I watched people have really good success with it, and I just couldn't give up the trust. So I built it. Just let's talk about people that have a hard time trusting because they're in another country.
Right.
You don't know what they trust with. So what are some of the things that you've seen loan officers and other businesses do with virtual assistants that helps them give up the trust a little bit slower, or in baby steps, I should say?
I like to look at it as anybody that you have working for you, you have to build trust over time. So at the beginning, you're not going to just give them everything, credentials to everything. There's ways to have them still get work done for you, but as you're building that trust with them.
Yes.
So like there's different programs that will allow you to send a link that it automatically logs them in for like a 24 or 12-hour period. So you're not having to give them the credentials yet. But over time, what I've found is I trust my VAs as much as anybody that would ever work for me here in the US. They're just very humble, very trustworthy people. But yeah, sometimes it does take time, and you want to build that trust.
Yes. So we use that. My virtual assistant, the one that I've had for a while, it has been built. Trust has built kind of smaller steps. I don't know why I have such a problem with trust. I guess I'm finding something out about myself, but once I develop that trust, then I'm all in, and that's how I feel now. So the reason I'm bringing that up, Richard, is because that's a thing for some people. Trust is an issue for some people. And I've learned to let go and to trust, but it came in baby steps. Like you said, you can do things one step at a time. I use LastPass.
Yes.
Which is, tell us what LastPass is.
So there's two parts to it. The first part is it'll save all your passwords and logins to everything that you log in. So it'll automatically just log you in. The second part, the paid version, is you can set it up where, like I said earlier, where you send a link to, let's say it's Facebook. You send a link to your VA, they click the link, and it's a one-time login where they don't see the password or anything. So at the beginning of the relationship, then you can use that just to be safe. But like I said, or I didn't say this, but in 11 years, I've never, ever seen one instance where anybody lost information or, stolen information. I've just never seen it in literally hundreds and hundreds, if not 1,000, VA hires. So, but there are ways to take baby steps and give them that information without them actually having it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes, totally. And that's what I use, and I love it. But my VA has some of my passwords, some of my credentials and things. She has them because I've trusted her over time to be able to do that. And she never disappoints me. It's always trust. Trust is well-deserved for her.
Right.
And like I say, the reason I bring it up is just because it took me a long time to be able to get to that point. But now that I'm there, I wish I'd have done it sooner.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah. So what is it that you love the most? I know you coach in the Freedom Club. You coach loan officers.
Yeah.
I know you love that. So what do you love about that?
What do I love? I love coaching. I love giving back to people. It's kind of like pay it forward. I've had so many help me, including you, my first coach. So many have helped me along the way. I just love giving back. Coaching to me is just, there's nothing like it. It is so fun. So yeah, I coach for the Freedom Club. I love coaching. I also run that VA business because that, again, we're helping loan officers grow their business and have more freedom. It's just a lot of fun. I know that was vague, but
no, that's pretty good. I know you're a great coach and you run that business so well. And then you have a team running your mortgage business, right?
Yep, I transitioned over a couple years of me letting go more and my son taking over the mortgage business. So I would still be called, I guess, a non-producing branch manager. So, and my son's kind of running the company. So it's a nice setup.
That's great. And he
Yeah.
was
So
able
I
to
get to spend
learn.
more time coaching and yeah.
Yeah. And he was able to learn the mortgage business. And how long's he been with you now?
About 4 years, but it took a good couple years to really, and that's a good point with virtual assistants too. You just don't, let's just say social media, you're going to have them do your social media. You just don't let them go start doing your social media. You've got to be very patient and have them shadow you for a whole week of what you're doing, and then you shadow them for another week, so to watch what they're doing and how they do it. And that's the same with the mortgage industry. You've got to do a lot of shadowing and training and be very patient to let things go.
Yes. Yeah. You can't expect perfection. It doesn't happen that way. And at the beginning, when you first bring on a virtual assistant, there's a lot of things that you have to double check because
Right.
You just want to make sure that they're doing it the way you want them to do it. And that's okay. That's part of hiring anybody, right?
Exactly. One
Anybody.
thing, yeah, one thing we do that's really helpful, because one thing you don't want to do is micromanage anybody, but you want to know what they accomplish. So one of the things with VAs that we have them send an end of day report. So every day at the end of the shift, they send me an email of everything they accomplished for the day. If it's phone calls, if they did a 2-hour time block of, let's say, phone calls and setting realtor appointments, then they're going to put in there how many calls they made, how many people they talked to, and then how many appointments set, and then everything else they accomplished for the day. And, we have to do that with anybody that works with us. We can't micromanage them, but at the same time, we just can't ignore them either. We've got to inspect what we expect. So having that end of day report has always been real helpful.
I think that's really great. Yeah, it shows you what they accomplished too. And it makes you feel good because when you're busy during the day, you're not thinking about what they're accomplishing or not accomplishing. And it's easy to get
Right.
to start thinking, oh, did they get anything done? But when they send you that report at the end of the day, it makes a big difference.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. As a mortgage advisor, you know that having a high-performing loan team is critical to building a successful business. But training them can be time-consuming, and it can detract from more important tasks like generating leads and growing your business. But that's where we come in. We created Loan Assistant Mortgage Training Bootcamp, a self-paced online course available immediately to train your team, including newer loan officers, on how to actually do mortgage loans. Our course takes them step by step through the process, from taking a complete loan application to creating effective communication with clients, referral partners, and team members. When they complete the class, they will have the training to be an asset to you and your mortgage business. Visit loanteamtraining.com and navigate to the Loan Assistant Mortgage Training Bootcamp tab to review our course details and enroll. With our training, you can confidently delegate and devote your time to growing your business even more. So, in the mortgage business, it's easy. It has been easy in the last 6 months to a year to develop fear. And, fear because the rates went up and everything changed so fast. But really, it's not about fear, really. It's really, you have to work through the fear is what I'm saying.
Oh, agree.
But I'm going to ask you in a minute how you work through the fear, but I want to go back to that for a second, because it isn't about the business, what it does, whether it's good times, low interest rates, or high interest rates. There are still ways to work around and get business in the door, right? And both of us as coaches, we know what those ways are. And really, it's about having a plan every day, the daily success plan. Just writing notes is a big part of that. Personal handwritten notes, making calls, and meeting with agents and other people that can refer us. But in the business, the way it's been in the last year, there's been a lot of fear that's gone around. So what is one of the things that you have helped your loan officers? how have they worked through fear? Can you give us an example of a couple?
Yeah, it's the loan officers that push through it, because it is pushing through that and doing the activities. It's really about focusing on those activities at first and not the results. Like, of course, you want to be results driven, but right now it's focusing on the activities, focusing on the prospecting. If you're doing your DSP and you're prospecting at least 2 hours a day every morning, the results are going to be there.
Yes.
There's no way they're not. Like, if you're doing your calls and you're doing your appointments and you're asking for the business and you're contacting your past client database and you're updating, it's all stuff that everybody knows they need to do, but they get busy, or they don't have, the day gets them, or they have a file blowing up. If you focus on that activity Monday through Thursday or Monday through Friday for 2 hours, the results will get there. It doesn't even matter what is going on in the market.
I agree
Yeah.
100%. It's just pushing through it and focusing on the activities. That's the biggest thing that I've seen.
Yeah.
Another thing is when fear gets a little bit out of control, we just have to keep talking to ourselves and reminding us that if we do the activities, or as we do the activities, the results will come.
Yes. Agree.
And
100%.
it takes
a lot
faith.
of mindset. Yeah.
Yes, it takes faith, but it's also not just faith, it's knowing from looking at when other people that are being successful and when they've done it in the past, how it
Right.
has brought success, regardless of what the market is doing. Yeah, the market does affect, I'm not going to say it doesn't affect anything, but it doesn't stop us from being successful if we put the right activities in. We might have to do more than what we normally do.
Right.
Yeah. But mindset's a big deal. I know it is for you. You're one of the most positive people I know. And I think mindset is a huge deal. It's what we say to ourselves.
Yeah. Well, you're into that self-talk so much that's so helpful for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've
So,
got to have that positive mindset. But even, everybody even wakes up and they're just don't feel it, or, you feel down or whatever, and you got to push through and make those calls, or, do that prospecting. That's the hardest time to make those calls, is when you don't feel like it, right?
exactly.
But then once you make one or two calls, you're back into it. So it's just pushing through that. Agree. And
Yes.
mindset has everything to do with it.
And starting out in the morning by repeating affirmations that help you feel a certain way,
Right.
because that's what's going to happen. You'll feel the way you're thinking. So, your thoughts create your emotions. How you feel,
Agree.
what you think about makes you feel a certain way. And then your emotions create your actions. What you feel is going to make you act a certain way. And then your actions is what creates your results.
Yeah.
But it all starts with our thoughts. We need to start with our thoughts. And we can't control what pops into our head.
Right.
We're not going to be able to control how we got up feeling in the morning or something that happened to us, but we can control what we do with it.
Yes.
Yeah. And we can control the thoughts that we allow to stay in our minds, regardless.
Agree.
That's what's so powerful about self-talk. And it's just a matter of listening to good self-talk every day.
Yes.
So the one more question I have for you is, what's a good routine or habit that you have, Richard, that you do on a daily basis that helps you feel good and be successful?
So I've fallen off the wagon a little bit with my daily workouts, but
Okay.
over the years, I'll tell you, working out first thing in the morning and listen to positive, something while you're working out, that has been the biggest game changer for me. But I have fallen short a little bit. Talking to you is going to make me want to get back onto it.
And vice versa.
Yes, but that alone, that habit has been the biggest improvement on my, not just mindset, but my business. And you don't think, having a really good morning success ritual, you don't think initially that has anything to do with your business, but it really does. It has so much to do with your business. That one, doing a morning ritual, has changed everything for me over the years. So I would say that. And the other thing is time blocking. It's probably the most important thing that we do, and it's so hard to do. But if you live by your calendar and you time block and keep those time blocks with yourself non-negotiable, that's a
Mhm.
game changer.
It really is. I was just on the phone earlier with a coaching client that we were talking about how to set up the time block for her.
Yeah,
And it really makes a difference when you have that. You're not jumping from one thing to another, wondering what you did with your day.
exactly.
You can go back and see. And it's a commitment, isn't it?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, it's really
definitely.
big. So tell us where loan officers and other people can reach out to you at Remote Assistant Scout and find out about getting a virtual assistant for
Oh
themselves.
yeah. If anybody wants to check or set up a strategy call, let's say, or have a quick 15-minute conversation on what we do and how we do it, or just have questions about it, they can go to remoteassistantscout.com and just leave their information there, and we'll have a time set up and scheduled for you.
That's great. You have one other thing that you do that's really good too, and that's setting up a list. What's the name
Oh
of
yes.
that website where you set up a list of qualified
Well,
agents? Yeah,
yep.
tell us
Yeah,
about that.
we put a list of qualified agents for loan officers to make sure that they're, targeting the right agents that have closed 8 or more buy sides in the last 12 months. So we put a list of about 1,000 to 1,500 together with all their contact info, and we do that at qualifiedagentlist.com.
That's so great. That has helped so many people that
It
I coach.
really has.
Yeah, it's made all the difference because we call that the $1,000,000 list, right? Because you can
Yeah.
make $1,000,000 a year with that list if you work it.
Yeah, it's amazing talking to these loan officers who have bought that list and how much it's helped their business. It's crazy when you think about it.
Yes.
Because
And then
you're talking to the right agents. I remember years ago sitting in a coffee shop, and don't get me wrong, I don't mind. I love people, so it's not that I don't want to spend time with certain people, but I remember talking to a realtor and I was like, she's closed one deal in 2 years, and I just don't have time to sit and have a coffee appointment. Nothing against her, but we've got to spend time with the agents that are actually doing business. Because then I'm calling her every week asking for business. She doesn't have any. She was embarrassed by the phone calls. So we got to make sure we're asking the right agents. It's so important.
yes, I agree. And also with training, where this podcast is about training, right?
Yes.
And I have had the privilege of having your son in our training program, and it's been really fun to do that. So I think it's really important for loan officers to get training for their teams as well, don't you?
Agree. Yeah, I agree 100%. And your training is so excellent. That's
Thank you.
Yeah, it's so good, and it does so many because I've talked to many loan officers that have gone through the training, and it is amazing.
Well, thank you. We really enjoy doing it. I remember I have a passion for it because I remember getting into the mortgage business myself and not getting any training. It's the
Right.
worst way. It's the worst way you think you have a loan when you really don't.
It's
Um,
hard, yeah, to train.
yeah. So this training that we do, a lot of it is communication and processes and systems and conversion. And then we also have the loan assistant mortgage training boot camp for brand new people. But I'm just so excited that we get to offer this. I'm grateful. And I'm grateful to people like you who've trusted us with your team. And
Yeah.
it's meant a lot to us. So,
Yeah, it's really good training.
so what word of encouragement, Richard, do you
Hmm.
have for loan officers and other business owners in the current times that we're in?
Word of encouragement is really, I already said it earlier, but focus on your activities because the results will always come. So it's sometimes we just have to put our head down and work a little harder than we're used to doing.
Yes.
And that's what we have to do right now. We have to double down and whether that's working twice as much or getting somebody to help you take away the busy stuff like a VA and then focusing on your money making activities. But it's really just focusing on those activities, and then those results will come. And that's really any business, right?
Any business. Yeah, it
Yeah.
really is. And the market doesn't determine how successful we are. We determine that by what we do.
Exactly. Because I know you do too, but I have coaching clients that, they're having their best years this year.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
that's unheard of normally. So yeah, it's just focusing on the right activities and double downing on them.
Yeah. And realizing that we're in a work year. That we can't
Yep.
just sit back and it doesn't rain loans anymore.
Yep,
But
exactly.
but at least we can keep up with everything as well and have time to hire the right people and get them trained.
Yeah,
And or hire the people you don't have to train, but they can still be trained in other things like communication and things like that. But
exactly.
it's
Yeah,
better to hire people that already know what they're doing, and there's plenty of those people available right now. So my encouragement to loan officers is get a team. If you don't have a team yet, make sure you have a team. And if you have a team, make sure they're the right team.
exactly.
That they should be team players and they should be wanting to help you. And we always tell our loan partners that come to the training, to the WOW training, is be so amazing that the thought of your loan officer thinking of not having you just makes them break out in a cold sweat. And
Exactly.
they can't even imagine life without you on their team. That's the way they should be. And
Yeah,
so
that's excellent.
that's my word of encouragement to all the loan officers today is find a team, or if you already have a team, make sure they're the right ones and that
Yeah.
they're on the same page with you and that they want to support you. I'm so glad you were on today with us, Richard. Thank you so much. I know
Thank
we get a
you.
lot of time to talk off camera, and we always, make time because we're friends and we coach together. And our husband and wife are, your wife Blanca and my husband Kevin are friends, and we get together when we have our events. And even though you're in Texas and I'm in Arizona, it's just always fun to have those relationships that you
Yes.
can count on and be there for each other. And so I'm thankful that you spent your time with us today.
Well,
So
thank you.
thank
I
you for being here.
appreciate it.
Yeah. So it's been fun. So everyone enjoy the rest of your day. And if you know that this has been helpful for anybody that any loan officers or even other businesses that may want to use Remote Assistant Scout, get a virtual assistant, or if you have any needs for your team to be trained, please share this episode with other people so that they can hear it and get the same value that you receive from it. We really appreciate you being here today. Enjoy the rest of your day.